You're listening to Health Coach Conversations, a podcast where our conversations help health coaches all around the world to level up our businesses and to get more clients. So tell us about your background and why you have developed the Wahls Protocol.
Sure. So I'm an internal medicine physician by training, and basically 25 years ago is when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I did my research, found the best MS center in the country, saw their best physician, took the newest drugs, and within 3 years at age 48, I'm in a tilt recline wheelchair, and I continue to go downhill. I've adopted the paleo diet. I start reading the basic science, and I begin experimenting on myself using supplements, and that helps my fatigue a little bit, and I'm really grateful because it is helping my fatigue. But I'm still going downhill. In 4 years, I can't sit up anymore. I'm beginning to have brain fog. My trigeminal neuralgia is relentlessly worse. Unfortunately for me, I discover a study using electrical stimulation for muscles in people who are paralyzed. And I talk to my physical therapist. I have a test session. Hurts like hell, by the way. But when it's over, I feel really great. And he says it's probably the endorphins. So we actually add the electrical stimulation of muscles to my little tiny mat exercises. I could do 10 minutes and still go to work. And then at about the same time, I discovered the Institute for Functional Medicine. I took their course on neuroprotection, which was, a lot of biochemistry, a lot of attention to mitochondria. I had a longer list of supplements that I was taking. I was happy to take them. And then I had this big aha. And Kathy, I laugh at myself for how long it took to have this aha. I'd been doing the paleo diet for 5 years after being a vegetarian, for low-fat vegetarian for 20 years before that. And I was happy to accept that who knows how long it would take to fix my brain. And I was grateful that I was just getting it slowly worse. And I knew that if you had progressive MS, nothing is going to make things better. The whole name of the game is to slow the decline. So I had this interesting aha, like, what if I redesigned my paleo diet based on this long list of supplements that I was taking? The nutrients that I knew were really important for mitochondria. So that's a few more months of research. I finally start this new, very structured paleo diet at the end of 2007. Within a month, I could tell that my fatigue was remarkably reduced. My mental clarity remarkably improving. My physical therapist said, Terry, you're getting stronger, and he advances my exercises. So I'm now doing 10 minutes twice a day, 15 minutes twice a day, 20 minutes twice a day, 30 minutes twice a day. And then this is really shocking, I start walking in the hospital with my 2 walking sticks. And, people are stunned. And then I start walking with 1 walking stick, and then with none. And then in April, so about 5 months into this, I tell my wife, Jackie, do you think I could try riding my bike? And she goes, well, if things keep going well, maybe in the fall we can do that. Well, it's a couple weeks later, it's on Mother's Day, and I really want to ride my bike. So we have this emergency family meeting. My teenage children don't want me to do that because they don't want me to risk falling. But Jackie says, honey, let's go down to the curb. We all get into place. She tells my 16-year-old son, Zach, you run alongside in the left. My 13-year-old daughter, you run alongside in the right, and she'll follow. So we all get into position. She gives the all clear. I push off, and I bike around the block. And that big 16-year-old boy, he's crying. My 13-year-old girl, she's crying. Jackie's crying. And as you can tell, when I relive that moment, I still have tears because that was the moment where I realized that we didn't understand MS, and who knows how much recovery might be possible. And every day I biked a little bit further. In October, Jackie came home and said, honey, I've signed us up for the Courage Ride. It's 18.5 miles. And honey, however far you go will be a triumph. And I made it all 18.5 miles. Once again, we're all crying. I crossed the finish line. My kids are crying. Jackie's crying. I'm crying. And that fundamentally changes how I think about disease and health. It will change the way I practice medicine. And it changes the focus of my research. And I made testing my protocol in others with multiple sclerosis and other autoimmune conditions, the focus of my work. In teaching other clinicians how to use these concepts is a key part of my business. And also teaching the public that there is always so much that we can do that will change the course of our lives. Forgive me, that's a pretty emotional part of my life to go relive.
Yeah, I have an aunt who had multiple sclerosis, and she did not come out of it as good as you did. It's incredible to hear, and I imagine anybody that has it, that hears what you have to say, probably sits down and cries with you. That's a great story. Okay, so now you are not only have the Wahls Protocol and have had it for a while, but you're teaching it to other people so that they can help people with it, right?
Right. We teach health coaches, we teach physicians, physical therapists. So people with a health-related license or a health-related certificate, we teach them how to use these concepts to have better outcomes for their clients.
What are the most common challenges that people face when they adopt the Wahls Protocol, and how can they overcome them?
Whenever we're changing our behavior, we have to overcome the resistance. We have to build the circuits in our brain to make that new task easier than old, undesirable tasks. That takes effort. Our biology is such that our brain's hardwired to avoid pain, seek comfort, seek inactivity, because that was very important to us as a species over millions of years. And the food companies have now designed products that are so tasty, and reward eating the food that's damaging our health, and it rewards inactivity. Our smartphones have all these games and activities that make us hooked into the phone. So there's a lot to overcome. However, if there's a reason to work on these new habits, we can overcome extraordinarily difficult circumstances. And so in my practice, one of the things an exercise I have people do is, if your house was beginning to burn, so you could see smoke rolling out of the windows or off the roof, is there someone or something that you care so deeply about that you'd run in, even barefoot over broken glass, to go save? And typically the answers are family members, children, mothers, spouses, grandmothers, grandchildren, cats and dogs. I don't think I've ever had a fish that people talked about, but, family members and cherished pets. Then my next question is, if your health could improve a little bit, I don't ask for a major improvement, just, a little bit, what would you like to be doing with that person or your pet that you can't do now? And so now we have a goal. And then the next thing I like to go over now is, okay, we've talked a little bit about the domains of self-care: nutrition, stress management, physical activity, sleep, connectedness to other people. Which domain do you want to work on? And if you want to have targets for all the domains, we're happy to give that to you. But many people find it much easier to pick one domain, and we start there. Because I want people to have small, achievable actions that they can take and feel good about that action. And it might be that I'm addicted to Coke, regular Coke. I have 5 cans a day. Okay, so maybe we're going to have the goal of 4 cans a day and 1 can of sparkling water, so that we make the adjustments at a pace that they feel they could be successful. In some folks, now ideally, I want to have them ditch the Coke immediately and start drinking waters and teas and, eating the Wahls Protocol. And some people are ready to do that. At my veterans in the VA hospital, we were happy to say, okay, here's the target we'd like to be someday, but what's the next small step you could take towards that? And if we have them link it all to I mean, my favorite was, well, my son's getting married next year and I want to walk him down the aisle. Or my daughter's getting married, I want to walk down the aisle. Well, that's a, very deeply held goal that now I'm willing to do hard stuff because that goal is so important to me. So my veterans taught me that the most important thing to do is to find a why to do the work and to have a physical goal of what is it that I would like to be able to do again in the future that I can't do now. And have these small incremental steps towards that big goal of walking my child down the aisle of their wedding. And that was a very common goal, actually, that people wanted to be there for their family member for a very important life event. And typically it'd be a wedding.
Yeah, that's good. One, they've got a purpose. And two, you don't make it so hard that they can't actually get there.
You have to be open to breaking it down to small next steps. Now, if you're my clinical trial, I'm going to really try to get you to follow the diet pretty rapidly. If you're my clinical practice, we're very open to this is one step at a time, at a pace that you can manage.
Yeah. You need to show results in your trial.
Yeah.
And they need to show results in your practice, right?
Correct. In my clinical trials, we have dietitians to help them with that. In my clinical practice, we don't have dietitians. So it's my health coach and me working with my patients to help them. And clearly, from my point of view, the most important steps are, what is your why? Helping them clarify their why. What is the goal that they would like to be doing with that person, occasionally a pet, that they can't do now? What's the big, hairy, audacious goal? And then we can break things down into, small, measurable goals that they could achieve.
Incremental improvement. So if you were to take you and your health coach, what do you do? We've got scope of practice issues there. What do you do and what does the coach do?
So on my side, I'm seeing the patient, and based on their clinical circumstances, I may tell them that, you have type 2 diabetes. I think the most therapeutic diet for you is going to be a ketogenic diet. I might have somebody with rheumatoid arthritis, and I'll say the most therapeutic diet is an elimination diet or a diet guided by food sensitivities. And so I will diagnose and recommend what I think is the most optimal diet, stress reduction, exercise strategies for them. And then I ask this, I also talk about stress reduction. And then I ask this key question: which domain do you want to work on first? So I get that from the patient, and I'll ask, let's say they pick stress reduction, then we'll have a conversation about which stress reduction they want to do. So the patient and I sort of work out the domain and the intervention that they're going to do. I hand off and we've had conversations about the why and the goals. I hand all that information off to my coach, who now reinforces, okay, so here's what I understand for your goals and what we're going to work on. How can we break this down to a smaller, bite-sized goal for you? And at what frequency would you like to check in with me? So I'm not asking the health coach to diagnose. You're going to get in trouble. That's out of scope.
Right.
But the health coach can reinforce what the medical person sorted out with the patient in terms of the diet and that they'd like to work on and the domains that they want to work on. I hand off to the coach, who helps the person identify the small next step and how frequently do we want to check in.
So they're holding them accountable. They're working on action steps and holding them accountable.
They're working on action steps. They're working on those SMART goals: specific, measurable action, realistic and relevant, and time bound. And then if the patient comes back and says, I just can't do the ketogenic diet. Then my health coach will reach out to me and say, okay, they're struggling with the ketogenic diet. What's the next recommendation that you would like to do? So that might mean that I'm going to have a conversation with my patient again, or I will have a conversation with my coach and say, here's the next plan that I'd suggest that we offer for them.
Are you ready to transform lives and build a thriving wellness practice? At the Health Coach Group, we offer done-for-you courses, cutting-edge resources, and fully customized websites to health coaches like you. Join us and turn your passion into a profitable venture. Visit thehealthcoachgroup.com today.
Does mental resilience play a part in managing a chronic condition like this?
Oh my God, it's absolutely critical. Resilience, if you sort of think about, I think Henry David Thoreau talked about the common man that is so resilient. It's like, if you look at the tall grasses, the wind comes by and it's very flexible. You can have and so a hurricane may come by and rip out the trees because they're not as flexible, but the grasses are more flexible and bend. They can bounce right back. And so that's some resilience. If you're too rigid, you will break under pressure. If you are more flexible in your thinking and it bends, you're more resilient. So, and that has to do with shit happens in life.
Yeah.
We're all going to lose.
This is true.
We're going to lose the people we love and cherish unless we die young ourselves. So we'll have to face painful loss of people that we love and hold dearly. We will not get the promotion that we thought we deserved at work. We will get reprimanded for doing what we thought was right, and we learn that other people think that was wrong, so we get into trouble there. Our children or spouse do things that we don't like, and we have to deal with that. But we also have the unexpected, wonderful things, the births of people in our family, so we get to have new babies in our life. That's lots of fun. We get to get promotions that other people may think that we didn't really deserve, but we're thrilled that we got them.
But we did it anyway.
So we love our successes, but we have to realize, it's a very Buddhist kind of thing. Success comes, failure comes. It's just part of life. Don't be too attached to it. Just keep going forward. And then I think about Viktor Frankl, who you really made this wonderful observation that between every event in our life and our reaction to that event is a little space. And in that space, we choose our response. Another story that I'll tell my followers is that, when I had my second child, I went through in vitro fertilization and had twins as a twin pregnancy. I was a little scared, like, oh my God, twins, that's going to be a lot of work as a single mom. But I was also thrilled to be pregnant because I really wanted to have another child. And then at 12 weeks, I went in for ultrasound and discovered that one of the twins had died. So very upsetting, deeply distressed. And then my pregnancy got complicated by severe hypertension, severe joint pain, severe headaches, and ended up having to deliver at 30 weeks. So that's, pretty early. Fortunately, and I was really quite ill. I was delirious, hallucinating. I mean, I was desperately ill. My daughter was premature. She's in NICU. And, she eventually gets home at about a month. I go in for my postpartum check. And my doctor tells me that losing that twin at early probably saved my daughter's life and likely saved my life. And so it's the same event, the loss of my twin. At one point in my life, deeply sorrowful event, losing a child that I clearly wanted. And then, 6 months later, actually 7 months later, I learned that same event saved my daughter's life and saved my life. So I remind people that the response we have to all the events of our life are here. It's how we interpret the event and how we choose to respond.
It makes such a difference, doesn't it?
It's profound. It's profound when you realize the events of our lives are simply events. And we can choose to take the most wonderful circumstances in our life and find great joy, or we can be bitter and angry and sorrowful. And we can take the most horrific environment and still find joy. And Viktor Frankl, in the midst of his terrible, terrible environments, being at Auschwitz, was still able to find joy and comfort in his daily life with his fellow prisoners. And he talks about we can take every circumstance in our life and make it hell or heaven based on our intentions and the actions we choose to make and how we interact with everyone around us.
Yeah, it's all perspective.
Perspective and choice.
Yeah.
And choice.
Yeah, agree. So what advice would you give someone who was newly diagnosed with MS or another chronic condition?
Well, of course, the first thing I'd say is go get my book so you can have a lot of hope and start doing things at one little piece at a time. And hopefully you can get connected with someone who can help you implement these concepts. Follow me on Instagram. You get to see what I'm eating and doing and see me talk about stuff. Ideally, you can find, we have a whole wide variety of clinicians to help people, health coaches, physicians, movement professionals, nutrition professionals, mental health professionals, who can help you in a variety of domains. So it's a matter of which domain do you want to work on first? And maybe it's just, I need to work on my why. And a health coach can really help you with that, or a mental health professional. And then you could work on, okay, I got my why. I'm feeling calmer. Now I'm going to start working on my domains of self-care.
You talked about, you have a program to teach health coaches, and you talked about having a special offer for people who are listening.
Yes. So we want to train, there are millions of people here in the United States who need help. So we want to train anyone who has a health-related certificate or health-related license. And if you go to Terry Wahls, Terry, Wahls, WAHLS.com/certification, then you can apply to get certified. And if you use the code VIP, your application for certification drops to $1. And so there are a few things that you'll have to answer to document your license or your certificate, and then we'll get you go. This is a online training program with modules and a little quiz after each module. Be sure that you understand the content. And then there is a case studies that we do with me and my health coach via Zoom. And then you take a written test. And then you get to be on our directory. And most importantly, you also get to have a once a month live Q&A with me where I answer questions, discuss cases. And we have a way for you to submit questions. So if you can't attend the Q&A live at the time, there's still ways for you to submit your question and get everything answered.
That's great. That's great. I think that there's a lot of health coaches who would be more than suitable to do this. And I know that
we would love to get more health coaches.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good.
And we have massage therapists, athletic trainers, of course, a wide variety of physical therapists in here as well. So again, movement professional, nutrition professional, mental health folks, health coaches, we'd love to get you trained.
Well, and let me ask you this. If there's doctors that there are doctors who want to know more about certain things. Is this something that they might be interested in?
Oh, yeah. We have family physicians. We even have some neurologists. We have chiropractors. who come through. It's certainly very, very helpful.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today. I enjoyed talking to you again. And thank you for the offer. We'll put that link underneath your podcast on the show notes.
That is wonderful.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you liked what you heard, please give us a 5-star rating or review on iTunes.